here, so I thought I would show you my favourite pen in the world. So my Lumos from Tom Studio came in November, and I've been using it for my illustrations since then, and it is beautiful and I love it so much, and I just wanted to show you how clever it is. So aside from some of the best branding and packaging I have ever seen, which explains to you how to use it, how to refill it, and in here we have got my Lumos. So I chose a matte black, which I really love. There is also, I think there's a rose gold and a silver, and I chose a single tip, but you can also have one with a double tip, so you can unscrew both sides. So if you wanted to use different nibs, I'll explain about that in a minute. But right, so to open it, we unscrew. Just the fit, it's so what's the word? It's so snug, it fits so perfectly, and the fact that the lid is flush with the pen is just, I love it so much. So here we go. This is my Lumos. You can see I've got my fine line tip in. It's teeny. It's a 0.1. So the tips come, and they look, here it is, little things. So that is the tip. And this end fits into the ink, and this is my drawing tip. So we've got my Lumos, and to refill the ink, in here is the ink well shaft. I'm not sure what you call it, but it probably says in the instruction thing. In fact, it does. It's got a little diagram here. Nib holder, reservoir. There you go, a reservoir. Right, so we take this out, and this here is the ink reservoir. So if I wanted to refill it, I take this out and I dip it in my ink and hold it, and it soaks up. I think I took a video when I did it first, so you'll be able to see how that works. I'll show you in a sec. And it soaks up the ink, and then you're good to go. So, and to get it back in, you just screw it neatly in here. There we go. Until you can feel it's secure. And then there we are. It screws back on. So I have got a 0.1 tip on here, and I'm using this sketch ink, which I also got from Tom Studio. This is my own writing saying waterproof for Lumos, because I needed waterproof ink for my watercolours, because I draw and then go over it with watercolour. So that is from Tom Studio as well, which is perfect for what I need. And there are different size tips that you can get for the Lumos. I think this is a 0.1, and then I think there's a 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, 0.8, which is a bit thicker, and then a 1.0. And then on top of that, you've got a felt tip, you've got a chisel, so like a kind of flat edge, and you've got a brush pen. So there's all sorts of different options, which are perfect depending on what sort of thing you need. And the double tipped version that I mentioned earlier, you would have basically the ink reservoir would be a bit shorter, but you would be able to use two tips at once. So if you use a thicker pen and a thinner pen quite a lot, maybe for some drawing or for some lettering or something, you can unscrew either end and just use them. Obviously, whereas if I changed my nib, I would have to change the tip, but because I pretty much always am using it for fine line drawing, then that's it. So I will show you a little bit of drawing with it now. So one thing I was a bit worried about when I ordered my Lumos was that the tip was going to be fine enough. So I previously used, on my disposables, I used a 0.05, and this is a 0.1, but it is absolutely perfect. And I can press a little bit harder if I want to do some thicker lines, but I usually want to do pretty fine lines. And actually, it allows me to kind of be a little bit more sketchy if I want to. If I'm softer with the nib. So yeah, it's perfect Something else that's really lovely is the weight of it. So it's got a really nice weight to the pen. So when you hold it, and if I want to do sort of thinner lines, it kind of guides me almost, because I'm holding the weight in the shaft, not putting anything on the actual, the nib itself, which is quite different, well, quite a different feeling to the pens that, the disposable pens that I've used in the past. I also think, on what I was just saying about the weight, I think that gives a really lovely quality of line, because it allows me to bring a bit of movement in, which is what I like to do. I don't like to be too straight with my lines. I mean, you could be if you held it differently, but if you allow it to sort of flow a little bit, it's really nice how it just brings in that kind of movement as well. I've got the rest of this to finish. There's another side to this building that's like an L shape, but I will go for now, and if you want to catch up with how this illustration is getting on, then keep an eye on my page. But yeah, to find out all about the lovely Lumos, please head over to Tom's studio website, or yeah, you can check out their Instagram. They've got loads of examples of work on there, and yeah, I really couldn't recommend this pen enough. Tom's studio as a whole, but particularly this pen has been my favourite one that I've had so far. Yeah, and thanks, Tom.